I would like to talk to you about writing a personal letter to the seller when you're putting in an offer for a property. And let's talk about that right now. There are a lot of different opinions on writing personal letters to sellers, and mine is just one of them. A lot of people say it does no good, and in some cases, it really does no good. In almost all cases, it does no harm. So let's talk about the different things we need to look at first. A lot of times, you just want to look at who your audience is. Is your audience, is it in a trust? Is it their parents have had this house for several years, they've passed away, and the people are selling the house? There's a little bit more connection to that house than most other different kinds of trusts. There's also flippers who bought the house a year ago or 6 months ago, who just want to get the money out of the house. That's why they bought it, was because it's an investment and they want to get the most money they possibly can. And then there's the person who's bought the house, owns it, and they're moving out for one reason or another, to move up, to scale down, or whatever. And there's several different reasons to move. But let's take a look at the trust. Okay, there's some people who are just, they weren't connected to the house. Like I said, it was their parents' house, and they're just been assigned to basically get rid of the property. So, but they still have a connection to their parents. So if you craft a letter to them, you're going to want to be a little more, pretty compassionate. You want to let them know that you appreciate the fact that the house was well taken care of, if it was, and you want to start your family going in this house. And the reason I say start your family going is a lot of times the letters that we do are from first-time home buyers. But I would recommend anybody go ahead and craft a letter. The second type of trust is it was a family house. They've owned this thing for 40, 50 years. All the kids that are now selling it grew up in it, and they're going to want to have someone move into the house a lot of times who really appreciate it, but they also feel an obligation to get the most money out of the house because they're probably the one trustee, and all the other kids are putting pressure on them to get as much as they can to split among the family members. Usually, they're going to look for someone to buy it who is going to have the next generation or the next and have it be their family home. The flipper, if you decide to craft a letter to them, compliment their choices, and also let them know that you're strongly committed to buying the house. They want to know, basically, are they getting the most money they can, and is your offer strong? Are you going to be able to close the house? And that, to close on it, and that's what they want to know. Period. They don't care if a family moves in. They don't care who moves in. They bought the house to make money off of it, and that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to go for, is the strongest offer, the one that gets them paid in 30 days or less. Okay, the person who's lived in the house and for some reason is leaving. I've had it go either way. Most of them, they're buying another house, so they want to get the most money they can out of the house that they have been living in to move. But a lot of times, like we have moments that last for months where it's all investors paying all cash for properties, and some people, a regular home buyer, has to go around putting in offers like crazy because they keep getting rejected because they're financed, which makes it a little more difficult. There are some home sellers, if they get a letter from a home buyer that is that lays out their situation and everything, they would rather sell to that home buyer. Again, they're going to want reassurance that that's going to close. I've had situations where put in offer after offer after offer, and we get rejected. Put in a letter, and it's accepted. Beside the fact that there had been other offers for cash, the sellers wanted to sell to a family. They lived in a good school district. They knew it. They for some reason they just didn't want their house to be a rental. So how do you find this stuff out? You know, a lot of times your professional real estate agent is going to have a good idea of who the people selling it are. They'll be able to look up who's bought it, how long ago did they buy it, how long have they owned it, what did they pay for it when they bought it. A little bit of a journey on Facebook to see what type of people they are is not hurtful. It's maybe a little bit over the top of stockish, but you know, you want to craft a letter that's going to match the person that you're crafting the letter to, is going to resonate with them. I would go no more than one page. I wouldn't go with a big, long, multi-page letter. I would direct it more toward the seller and not toward your wants and desires, but more toward what they want and desire, if you can figure that out. And I wouldn't reveal a whole lot of information, but you do have to put in some things about yourself to make them feel like you're the person. You are who they want to sell to. And so put in a few things about yourself, but mostly make it about what they want and what they are looking for when they sell their home. And you should be fine. Now, I thought real hard about putting a template, in, but here's the thing. Your letter has to be personal. It can't be a templated thing where you just plug in an address. Hey, I want a 123 Main Street. I went by it. We walked through it, and it was absolutely beautiful. Blah blah blah. I really like the decorations, the way you kept the place up, the tree in the backyard, and all this stuff. You can't template it. It has to be you. It has to be your feelings. Otherwise, it's going to come across as if it's just some shtick you have, some way of getting to them, and it won't get to them because they'll see it for what it is. So, know your audience. Write the letter. Submit it with your offer. A lot of times, your real estate agent's going to already have had a conversation with the seller's real estate agent, so they're going to have an idea of who the audience is too. And then have your real estate agent look at it and make corrections if needed, and then submit it with the offer. I've had some where I know the buyer well enough that I write the letter, because I know also the seller's motivation through talking with the other agent or through researching them. And so I'll craft the letter, and then I'll have the buyer sign it. No one ever says, I didn't take your offer because your letter sucked. They have said the letter just didn't mean anything to the seller. That's just the way it is sometimes. Is the letter is meaningless. The dollar amount is what matters. And but the letter has never hurt. The letter has either done good or it's neutral, and the people don't care about whether you wrote a letter or not. Or your situation or anything. So my suggestion is when you're out shopping for houses, formulate something in your mind that you may want to put on paper and send. Don't make it generic. Make it personal to that property, to that seller, and to you. And make each one different because it's supposed to have an impact on the seller, and it's not going to have an impact on the seller if it's just copy and paste. Okay, a few of the don'ts. Don't overshare. Don't be emotional. Don't tell them what kind of demolition you're going to do to the house. Don't be desperate, and don't expect a miracle.